Good day, Chironians, and welcome to a new factions guide on Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Last time we left off, we discussed about the fundamentalist faction under Sister Miriam, the Lord's Believers, as the most aggressive faction to be in the game. Whereas she relies on attacking hard and maintaining greater numbers, this next faction focuses on accumulating population fast and building stuff fast. We now tackle on the second most aggressive faction this game has to offer.
Learn to overcome the crass demands of flesh and bone.
The Human Hive, under Shang-Chi Yang, is an absolute monster of a faction. They specialize in rapid growth and building stuff fast. Whereas Miriam has an innate +2 support, Yang immediately gets the support bonus upon adapting police state, something he can already do since he already has the tech required to switch to such government. They can amass big bases quickly, build units fast, and have a support bonus to boot when they switch to their preferred government. Let us take a look at their starting tech, strengths, and weaknesses, and see what makes them stand out among the other factions. They start off with the tech, Doctrine Loyalty. They get free perimeter defenses in every base they make. They have +1 to their growth, +1 to their industry, but a -1 to their economy. They also do not suffer from efficiency penalties and can go no lower than 0 no matter how many negative modifiers to efficiency they get from social engineering policies. Let's start off with their tech, Doctrine Loyalty. They already have a tier 2 tech in contrast to everyone else's one, and can immediately set their sights on the Command Nexus, a very powerful secret project that allows them to go into conquest mode without needing to build any command centers in their bases. Combined with the Hive's innate industry bonus and their natural inclination to run police state, means that a good Hive player can immediately field a large army of hardened rovers before anyone else could. If you can secure the Command Nexus, you're set for conquest, as any new units, even in new bases, start off hardened, making them better at combat. You can now sell all your existing command centers at this point for some extra cash. Next, they get free perimeter defenses. If you so happen to border an extremely aggressive neighbor, like say Sister Miriam or Santiago, your perimeter defenses can help in softening their blows by conferring a +75 defense bonus when units in the base get attacked. This bonus also applies in newly conquered bases, so this has an application too when going on the offense, as the newly conquered bases become much harder to take back on top of having the industry bonus, which will get harder still if the Hive has access to the Command Nexus, something that will inevitably happen if the Hive player rushes to it quickly. Now we'll tackle on the social engineering bonuses. +1 growth means that the city grows much faster than the others. So the way growth works is that each bases consume 2 nutrients per citizen, and if this base doesn't have any nutrients, the base loses a population if the reserve nutrients run out. The default nutrient requirement for a base to get a new population is 2 rows of 10 nutrients, assuming growth is at 0. The number of food required per row decreases by the number of positive growth bonuses on the social engineering table. The number of rows increases to 3 at 2 population, 4 at 3 population, and so forth. This decreases by 1 per row with +1 growth, 2 per row with +2 growth, and 3 per row with +3 growth, and so on and so forth. The inverse can be said with negative growth, but it is at 6 growth where the base gets new population per turn. This is known as a population boom and can only be achieved early on through a golden age, something that the Hive does have a struggle early on. Luckily, they're the only faction that has a +1 to growth, and it goes to +3 with planned, and since the Hive isn't hit with any efficiency penalties, the Hive only has positives to gain when running planned. Their bases now grow, requiring 3 less nutrients per row, which is why the game is almost decided whenever the Hive gets a lucky spawn in Monsoon Jungle. And trust me, it's not a pretty experience when you're on the receiving end of an AI Hive doing so. Their other bonus is the +1 to industry. The same principle to growth applies to minerals, except that if the base doesn't have any minerals or negative minerals, one of your units is at the risk of disbanding instead of the base losing a population. Depending on the thing that you're building, they will have a set number of rows, and by having a +1 to industry, They now require 1 less mineral per row. Going planned means that they now get a +2 to industry, causing stuff to be built with 2 less minerals per row. It gets even more ridiculous once you go wealth, giving them a +3 to industry and causing stuff to be built at 3 less minerals per row. This is the explanation on why the Hive can immediately get an army within a few turns on top of their preference to police state. As we mentioned in the last video, Miriam has a +2 support, which means bases have 4 mineral support free units. Yang can replicate this by going police state. This is how the Hive can field as large as an army as the Believers can, although they do not get the attack bonus. The main thing the Hive is good at is building stuff fast, and with a good growth bonus, it's no wonder this faction is a terror when controlled by the AI, and an even bigger terror when controlled by competent human players. Now on to their biggest and only weakness, -2 economy. This causes the Hive to have 1 less energy per base. The energy of a base gets converted into energy credits to use in rushing, psych to generate talents in the base, and labs, which becomes tech points that add up to the progress of the next step. 1 less energy everywhere means the Hive has less labs, psych, and energy, thus contributing to their difficulty in hitting a golden age. Not only that, but they cannot in any way get a +2 economy early on and must get secret projects to have an easier time to get that golden age. If you're not careful, the Hive might struggle with their energy reserves. They can lag a bit early on, but if you can build energy banks in developing bases, you can mitigate this problem a bit. In terms of social engineering preferences, this one is where the Hive becomes a pain. Their preference is police state and their aversion is democratic. In terms of playing as him, you'll need only police state and police state alone, as fundamentalism isn't going to help the Hive even more, considering that they have less labs from -1 energy per base and will possibly hurt their research even more, and democratic isn't available. This angers 2 factions, the Believers and the Peacekeepers. Playing against him is even worse in terms of government, as democratic is by far the best government to have early game for pop booming and as an efficiency bonus, and the Hive doesn't take democratic lightly. If you do have to go to police state, pair it with green to offset the efficiency penalty, otherwise it will be tough getting energy reserves up and you'll have to go with other government types instead. The strategy for playing as the Hive is to be as ruthless as possible. Expand quickly, get Centauri ecology fast alongside biogenetics. The good thing is, you can build them really fast and grow bases fast, so expand and take up as much land as possible. Forget command centers and beeline for command nexus. Build only defensive units and some rovers, and use a spare artifact if you have one to use on your focus secret project. After building the command nexus, build impact rovers or laser rovers everywhere and watch as your rival struggles to put up a defensive position as they are drowned in rovers. Against them is much trickier. If you know the Hive has built up an army, it is best to give in to the demands and save your skin for a while, but be sure to prepare next time. Aim for planetary networks so you can get probes and subvert any units he has. Once you have built up a respectable army, go on the offensive and use the probes to destroy the perimeter defenses he has to make him more vulnerable to a counter-offensive. It is likely he is at vendetta with another faction, so try pacting with that faction for a pack commerce bonus. If you're a builder faction like Zakharov or Morgan, try to outlast him. If you can get better techs than him, you can go on the counter-offensive much easier and put Hive on the defensive instead. The Hive stats make them lean towards a more conquest-oriented game, although their fast building capabilities help them in peacetime as well. They get a 10 in conquest, 7 in diplomatic, 5 in transcendence, and 4 in economic. 10 in conquest due to how ridiculous they can build units fast and maintain them. Their best government helps them in quelling drones in conquered bases and keeping his own people content. 7 in diplomatic because they can grow fast and keep their citizens content through a brutal police state, even more so if they put police garrisons in their bases. 5 in transcendence since they can research techs in the mid-game decently and can build the ascent to transcendence quicker than most factions, especially in highly developed bases. And the 4 in economic due to their economy penalty. They will need to build lots of energy banks to offset their innate problems to economy. If they go in the mid-game and dominate, they can manage to corner the energy market with decent effort. That wraps it up for the Hive. Your key points to take are: the Hive specializes in rapidly expanding. They struggle with energy credits. They cannot get negative efficiency. They can immediately go for the command nexus, and they're a great faction in both the offense and turtling. Our next faction on the list is the faction where this channel gets its namesake from one of their works, the Survivalist Spartan Federation. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more content on Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Until then, how will you lead humanity's future in the new world?